right, everyone, let's get going. Thank you for joining us today, wherever you may be in the world, for another episode of Accelo Best Practice Webinars. Today, we're going to be focusing on Google Suite and the Office 365 integration. I'm your host. My name's Tom. I'm an account manager here at Accelo. I'm also joined by John, a solutions engineer here, who will be the primary presenter.
Great, thanks, Tom. So today what we'll be doing is going through a quick overview of how the integration works and why we think it's so awesome. And then we'll dig into specifically how to set up and make sure that your GSuite integration and your Office 365 integration, whichever that your team or yourself are using, are set up well so that it's easy to send emails and see calendar events, but it's geared towards how you like to service your customers and work with them. And then we'll go through some common scenarios that we see with emailing and setting up meetings and some best practices with those.
Sounds good, John. There is a Q&A functionality inside the Zoom app. Feel free to submit your questions as they go. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that, particularly if they're relevant to what John's talking about. We can kind of feed them into the presentation. We've also got some dedicated time for Q&A in the middle and at the end, so plenty of time to answer any questions. And if there's anything that we can't answer as we go or is maybe kind of relevant to something else, I'm happy to follow up after this as well. Great, let's get going.
All right, awesome. So to start it off with a really simple example of email and calendar, if you had all started off on your own or have started in a very small business or just have one client, you may be familiar with this scenario, and it's your first freelance client. So you're working with just one person over there at your client site, and you're just a one-person team over at the agency, consultancy, MSP, accounting shop that you may be. And sending email and receiving it and keeping track of all of your communication is really easy. You send an email to your client, they get back to you, you see it and don't have to worry about it getting dropped or other people looking at it. And same with meetings. You send a meeting invite, your client might invite you to something, and it's all there sitting on your calendar, and you don't have to share with anyone else or collaborate with anyone else. So that's the really simple scenario of first starting out or having a single client that you work with. Now, when you start scaling that, maybe your client has brought in a CMO and a strategist on that side. Maybe you just signed on another client that you've begun working with. And maybe on your team, it's not just you anymore, it's a whole bunch of yous, other John 2.0, whoever you may hire to scale up the operations of your team. So as you start scaling on your side, as your client base starts growing, the emails start duplicating. And it's no longer just you talking to one person over there. There's more people to talk with. So understanding who needs to be talking to whom or who is talking to whom is a lot harder. You end up BCCing and CCing, copy and pasting into your project management. And it starts getting really confusing, especially if you've gone to another client. What we're seeing a lot of our customers before moving to Accelo or setting up their email and calendar integration is creating things like client folders in their email and dropping emails into there, or forwarding emails to other John and John S on the team so that everyone can stay together if your client forgot to reply all to a certain email. So in the Accelo model, what we try to do is not be like that. We try to build a system that is really client-centric and built for service business teams. And what we notice in a big thing of running a service business is making sure that all of your communication is in one place, especially communication relating to specific clients. So a lot of what we'll be looking at today is the integration with G Suite and Office 365, but we're mainly looking at it through the perspective of what we call a client stream, or these could also be ticket streams, retainer streams, project streams, and how different people on the client site and different team members on your side can communicate that the way that they're used to communicating or communicate out of Accelo and having it all be in one place. So you don't have to BCC, you don't have to drag and drop emails into client folders and really have a mess in communication, whereas it should be that lifeblood between the services team and the client. So how does that integration work? On the really reduced, simplified form, it's anytime you email your client, what Accelo is looking at is Tracy over at Delta Airlines, let's say that Tracy McGuire, the CMO, and Delta was a client of yours. What Accelo is doing is first asking, is Tracy a contact in Accelo? Have you already put her in as a contact, or is this a new person who you're emailing? And if Tracy is a contact, awesome. The email will come in and everyone on the team can see it. Everyone can know what's happening with you and Tracy. And especially if you forgot to BCC anyone, awesome, it's in the stream. Now, if Tracy isn't a contact yet, but there's Patrick at delta.com, the CEO, already in there, we're going to say, hey, is Tracy part of Delta? And the easiest way for Accelo to know that is her domain at delta.com matching Patrick's or anyone else over at the client, Delta Airlines. So does it match at delta.com? So those are the two first things that we're looking for. Is Tracy a contact? And if not, does she match delta.com? And most of our customers have the setting where they would automatically import Tracy as a customer, and then all of those email correspondences can pull into the client stream. On your side, what Accelo is looking at is, are there any privacy rules that we've set up? And we'll dig more into some of the privacy rules and the intricacies that you can put. But from a very high level, are you allowing to show communication between you and Tracy? Or have you set up some privacy rules? Maybe this is your bookkeeper, a third-party person who you're working with, and you never want to share that information. Or you're the CEO and the client CEO, and you want to let people know that you're having the conversation, but you really don't want them on your team to see the contents of that conversation. So that's something else that we'll go into, looking at privacy rules and seeing how they affect what other people on your team can see within Accelo. So what we'll first do is tackle the Google and GSuite integration. The integration is really similar to the Office 365 integration. We'll also look at that and look at some of the small differences, but we'll be able to cover most of the basic setup of how the email, contact, calendar, and task integration works between Accelo and Office 365 or GSuite when we first run through this. So the first section in the integration is talking about emails. And what we're looking at is incoming emails, outgoing emails, and then what we should do to that email in Gmail. So those are the first three settings when you go to your integration page. So to get to that integration page, what you'll do is you'll hover over your user icon in the top right, go to integrations. And you'll find those three settings there that are from the PowerPoint. Do you want to sync incoming emails? Do you want to sync outgoing emails? And then what should we do in Gmail when something has happened in Accelo? Either someone has responded to the email or we've actioned it in our inbox. So the best practice that we're seeing, especially if you want the email integration on, is to sync incoming and sync outgoing. That way that any time that Tracy emails me, it's coming into Accelo. Anytime that I email Tracy, it's coming into Accelo as well. And then for the Gmail side, we have a few options for what happens when a team member responds or I specifically action, or you can think of that as archive from my email inbox here. And some of our more super users are using mark as read and archived. What this does is it shows that it's read, so it goes from that bold font in your inbox to showing it as read. So just as a reminder, unread emails look like that, ready emails look like this. And then the second part is the archiving part. If you have these emails that are going back and forth and you already know that something has been done, maybe you don't need to work on it anymore. You don't want it to stay in your inbox. You're a zero inbox sort of guy or gal, and you want it to pull out. When I first started using the integration, when a lot of our customers do, they want to see that the integration is actually working and that it's showing up in the inbox. So some of our customers are starting it as marked as read. So it will show up here in the inbox like you see all of the emails that you're sending from Accelo. And then it will just show it as read. If it's been responded to, then you can manually go in and archive it. So that's what we're seeing as best practice starting off. You're probably going to get a lot of emails and you might start getting overwhelmed. And that's why as you start using the integration more, you might want to move it down into one of these areas, archive or mark it as read and also archive. On the context side, that part of the integration, what we have is changes made to your contacts, what to do when we sync them, what the Accelo to Google integration part looks like, as well as the Google to Accelo part. And then we have some nice magic with domain matching, like I was saying before around Delta. If it's at delta.com, would you pull in Tracy if you already have Patrick in the system? And then for new contacts pulling in, being able to pull in old history. So the first setting that you can see here, and if you're on a smaller screen like me, I'll zoom in, is anytime that you make a change, like change a phone number or part of the name in Accelo, then update those changes to Google. So most of our customers keep that on. Pushing the contacts edited in Accelo to Google, that we usually have on as well, just so that your contact box matches Accelo. Now, something that we talk about during implementation and with our customers on an ongoing basis is we don't want your contacts address in Outlook or Gmail to be your source of truth. You really want your source of truth of all your contacts and companies to be in Accelo. And that's why we want you to make your edits in Accelo and then have those sync up to the email client that you're using. You can think of it more as just a helpful guide that you have your contacts in Gmail, or if you're on the road and you're emailing through your iPhone or whatever smartphone that you might be using, then having those sync up has been really helpful, but not necessarily treating that as your source of truth. You want to move that into Accelo. When you're importing new contacts, like if I've been working with Tracy for the past few months, having those previous emails pull in is a really common option to share with the team. And then lastly, auto creating those contacts. So that would be Tracy at delta.com. Awesome, it's a match. Let's automatically pull her in. And that's a really common setting to keep on. The last is the contact import preferences. I have it as automatic here. Most of our customers are using Wizard, meaning that we're not automatically pulling in new contacts that come into your address book. And that's because we don't want 1-800-Flowers and some other details to come in from people who aren't your clients. We want Accelo to be a really tight database of all the clients we work with. And that's why we have the wizard on. What it allows you to do is step through a process of looking, periodically looking and making sure that they're clients of yours and you can bring them in. The calendar, the two settings is anything created in Accelo going to go into Google, and anything created in Google Calendar going to come into Accelo. Most of our customers, if they want the calendar integration to be on, will keep both of these on. And then the last section is the task section. Syncing as either a task list or an all-day appointment. If you're using a lot of tasks in Accelo, I'll suggest using the task list or even just keeping it off. And if you're using a few tasks in Accelo, sometimes all-day appointments can be helpful, especially if you're on the new business development and you're trying to reach out to people on a periodic basis. That all-day appointments can be helpful to look at. And just to let you know, all-day appointments don't affect your utilization. Accelo looks at that and says, nope, that's not a actual all-day appointment. It's just something that's coming off a task list or just a reminder in your calendar. Now for the Office 365 integration, like I said, it's pretty similar to the Accelo integration, but I'll show you what it looks like for those, or sorry, pretty similar to the GSuite integration, but I'll show for those who want to look at the differences. So regardless of if you have a local server or if you're using Office 365, here's how you set up your Exchange integration. On the Gmail side, we're going to automatically sync emails that are 60 days in the past. Exchange's API allows us to actually define it. So those who are using Exchange, Office 365, can go pretty far back into the past 180 days, more than the 60 days that Google allows us to. On the email sync, pretty similar. Inbound, outbound, auto import previous email conversations. Then on the contact sync, we just have the one way going over from Accelo to Exchange, and then the other way around, pulling in new people into Accelo. And then, like I said before, usually the wizard's the more common way to set up that contact sync. The calendar sync allows you to do a two-way sync, really similar to Google Calendar. So if you want that calendar integration on, you'll probably keep it on here. And then the last section on the tasks, this is a big difference actually between the Google integration and the Office 365 Microsoft integration, is that the Exchange tasks have more color to them, so you can put things like descriptions and put statuses on them, and then we'll sync those statuses, and anytime you close out a task over there, it would then close out over on the Accelo side. So two little areas that are outside the integration screen but are really important is this concept of email forwarding for incoming mail. And so what we'll do is I'll show you what this looks like on the GSuite side, and then we'll hop over to the Office 365 side. And what we mean by email forwarding is anytime someone emails us in, Accelo is going to be looking at Google and determining if new emails are coming in. But the way to speed that up and to bypass those integration servers on Accelo periodically scraping and looking for new emails is to set up forwarding. So the way you get to that in Gmail is you go into settings and you go to this forwarding area. Then you're going to want to forward a copy of incoming mail to your username at domain.accelo.com. And then you click add forwarding address and go through a process of setting up that forward. And so what that will do is any new emails, let's see that Tracy emailed us out of the blue, it would instantly forward a copy into Accelo rather than waiting for Accelo to look at the difference in our Google account and then say, oh, it looks like Tracy emailed us, and then pull that in. So sometimes that's taking about 30 minutes, up to 30 minutes. This is a way to really bypass that and increase your integration speed. The way I find out what my username is or what this email capture address should be is within Accelo, if you go to your user account, what you'll see right underneath your email is your capture email address. So all you have to do is copy and paste this into Google, or as we'll see soon in Office 365, and there you go, you've sped up your incoming integration. So like I said, similarly on the Office 365 side, let's hop over to email. And what you can do is go into some options. I'm just going to quickly search all settings. And under accounts here in the mail options, you'll have forwarding. And so you can do the same thing. You start forwarding, copy and paste that capture email from your account settings, keep a copy of the forwarded message, and then off you go for Office 365. So let's take a look at some scenarios that happen on an ongoing basis. And the easiest scenario, the one where I just keep on doing what I'm doing, but I've already set up my integration, is passive email. So I'm just emailing back and forth between Tracy, and then those emails are automatically coming back into Accelo. So in this case, it looks like Tracy just sent us a message out of the blue, and she wants to talk about the website project later. So let's see if that's pulled into the Accelo yet. So where I see all the emails for a specific company like Delta Airlines would be, I would go to the Delta Airlines area and then head over to Stream. And what I'll be able to see in the stream is all of the future upcoming meetings that we have. And we'll go into the calendar settings momentarily. Then any emails or in the stream, other calendar events that have been set up. So here's Tracy's message out of the blue. It's now come directly into the stream. And I can respond from either place. It doesn't matter. It's going to show up in both areas. So I can reply to Tracy here, or I could reply to her message out of the blue here on my Google side. And regardless of what place that I respond to, it's going to show up in both places, actually. The other way that I can get emails into the system is being more active with what's getting pulled in. So what we have is we have general email aliases. So we can have any of the objects that you work on, objects meaning projects, retainers, tickets, sales. Then if you do plus latest, what we're going to look for is the latest email, the latest object. So if it was a project that I was working on, I'm just looking for the project that we last did work on. And that would be things like putting a note, sending an email, logging a call, logging time. And then it would be at yourdomain.accelo.com. So you can CC that, and that will come into the stream. Likewise, if you wanted to go to a very specific project, maybe it isn't your latest project or ticket, and you put the specific ID of the project, then it can pull in as well.
Hey, John, just jumping in for a quick question, if that's all right.
Sure.
Just got a couple questions, actually. One's just looking to confirm that by adding the forward rule for Accelo email, that it eliminates the lag on email sync for incoming email. And so
yep, that's right.
So you just quickly touch on that, maybe.
Sure. So the forwarding rule basically says anytime someone emails in, again with those matching conditions, then the forwarding rule automatically lights up and kicks off and initiates the sync. So that's more in the seconds rather than Accelo periodically looking through your email account and looking for changes or for any new emails. And that periodic is a queuing system. So we're looking through all of your emails across actually all of the accounts. So that's definitely a very big queue rather than that the auto forwarding basically bypassing.
Awesome. Thanks, John.
Yeah. You said there was another question, Tom, or?
I'll come back to you.
Okay, awesome.
No worries.
So the way that we can find those aliases, I can go to any piece of work that I'm doing, sale, project, ticket. In this case, so I'll go to that website project that I was working on. And then the alias is going to be here on the bottom left-hand corner of any piece of work that you do. So all you have to do is copy and paste this. It looks like the other message just showed up out of Accelo. Maybe I'm sending an update. I'll BCC that specific project, and all these updates will come back in. So what we're seeing is while we're working on our rich text right now, if you want to send something with bullet points and bolding, or you want to have images in line, send that to the customer, but you still want it to come directly back into that project that you're working on, this is a good way to set that up. And then the last scenario is emailing directly from Accelo. So one would be sending an email directly from a project or a ticket that you're working on. So in this case, let's send it here from the project. And anywhere that you see add activity, this is the entrance into sending a client email. So I can do it here on the overall project. Also on any of the milestones and tasks, I can quickly get into them and send an activity or an email. So here we'll send Tracy an email. It'll look like it's coming directly from my Gmail. The value of sending it from Accelo, besides already being in the right place, is we have live time tracking on these emails. So especially for PMs and AMs, those doing more management roles and high volume of emails, this has been really helpful to capture that lost time that you might be spending in Gmail or Office 365. And then the last area is just sending those emails on the company level as well. So here, same setup as any of the objects like a project or a ticket. I can send an email directly to Tracy, and that will come in there to the stream. So something that you may see now on the stream is those mockups and updates directly from a website. So this is the one that I sent from the mockups test. So here in the breadcrumbs, I can see that it relates back to the mockups. This is what I sent from Gmail. And because I put the website project alias, it's automatically come and organize itself against the right project. So everyone on the project will be able to see it and get updates on it. If I respond directly to either of these here in the company stream, it understands where the emails belong. So I'll come back to the right area. So you don't have to necessarily drop into each project or piece of work to respond. Now, what you'll see on our previous messages that we're sending out of Gmail, or if Tracy emailed us out of the blue, is we don't have any of those project pills. And that's because we don't know what project this was on. It was a message totally out of the blue. And the way that we can get it to the right place, though, is here in the dropdown, we have something called relocate. And this works well if you want to relocate time entries or really anything in the system to other places. So here on the projects, I can select the right project that it belongs to. Maybe it was about that website build. Then I can relocate the full conversation. And you'll see now that it has moved from the company into the project area. And if we go back to the stream, we'll see that it has also relocated to the right area. So that's helpful when you're categorizing where things belong. If there's a really important message that was emailed out of the blue that you want the rest of the team to see, you can relocate it and it belongs to the right area. And then the last scenarios is around the meeting invites. So one on the Office 365, we'll hop over to there and take a look at the meetings that we've set up. So here we have a Office 365 party with no response from Tracy yet. And then I also see I have a 9 a.m. tomorrow. And I've invited Tracy in again. I haven't gotten a response for her for my monthly AIM catch up. So one I've sent from Accelo. This was the 7:30. Another I've set up here in my Outlook Office 365 calendar. And what you'll see here coming into the Delta stream is the same information. We have that AM monthly catch-up sitting there with Tracy. And it looks like I was just looking at the calendar. Again, I actually invited the wrong Tracy to the other event. So here I created it in Outlook and it's come directly into here. Or I could create it here in Accelo, put Tracy on it. Maybe I'll invite her to my holiday party tomorrow evening. And then this will automatically sync over to my Outlook calendar. If I want to make any changes to the calendar events, right now we're limited in Accelo to make changes. So what we suggest is coming over to Outlook or to your Google Calendar and make changes. That would be things like descriptions, even adding new attendees. We would then add it here on the Outlook side and then make the updates, and those updates would then sync back and show up in Accelo. And the last area that all of these should be showing up is in the weekly timesheet. So what you'll see here is any emails that I've sent from Accelo will have automatic time tracking on it. And then any emails that I've sent from Office 365 or Gmail, it won't have any time because there aren't any timers in those applications. But in Accelo, you'll have a log suggested time. So this is a really nice way to automate all of the time that you spend in emails and calendars and actually start accounting for that time.
John, can I jump in with a couple of questions?
Yeah, sure.
One is regarding when creating emails in Accelo. At the moment, the formatting is a little bit limited.
Yeah.
We're talking about text size and bold and things like that. Are we working on something to address that?
Absolutely. So right now, what we're doing, and the prototypes just came out last week internally, and we all got to see them. We're really excited about it. Is putting in rich text format to any activity that you log in Accelo, whether that's in email, probably most importantly, but for notes and meetings that can come in as well. And that right now would be things like bullet points, numbering, bolds, italics. And we imagine it going further than that, but at least the initial scope will put in some more rich text into your emails.
Awesome. Sounds good. And another one, is it correct that emails sent from within Accelo are not captured or synced to the Outlook sent mail folder?
To the sent mail folder. Yeah, that is a good question. Let's just double check the integration, unless if you quickly know the answer.
I believe, from memory, the answer is no, they do not.
Okay.
But we can double check.
Yeah, that is one point of difference between the Google integration and the Exchange integration is under here on the email sync. We don't have the opportunity to put it into an archive or a different folder. So it looks like it will stay there in your email inbox. Good questions. Then the last area that we'll talk about is the privacy side. So what we have is privacy per email, and we also have privacy on the different relationships that you may set up. So if we go over here on per email, so if I were to quickly just create an email on the fly, send it over to Tracy at Delta. And as I'm writing this, I'm realizing that it's pretty sensitive. Maybe we are talking about Tom and how great he is. We don't want the other team members to get jealous. What we can do is put it viewable. So by email that I send, by default, it will default to the relationship that we set up, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Here I can have it default to everyone gets to see it. Maybe Tom and the team want to know how great Tom is. Confidential, meaning that people can see that I'm talking to Tracy, but can't see the contents of that. And then the last one is secret, meaning that no one gets to see that I'm having conversations with Tracy here. And then the other one that we recently introduced for the per email settings is within configuration, you can now set up rules so that in that passive example, if Tracy's just randomly emailing me or I'm randomly emailing her through my Office 365 or Gmail, setting up rules so that they can also be marked as confidential and secret. So right here, what we can have is some information to set visibility based on the email content. And you know what, Tom, we should probably follow up with the help article on that, on specifically what that content is in the subject or body. But in a very high level overview, it's if you put anything like the words secret or confidential into the header, and I believe it has a line of different keywords like fired and payroll, that won't pull into Accelo, to make sure that we keep things that should be confidential and only for certain people to view outside of Accelo, and have Accelo really be that place for client email that you want to share with the rest of the team and make it easier to deliver awesome service to your customers. So that's the per email side. Now on the relationship side, if we head to the company, what we can do is we can set up different privacy rules. So we can either say, everyone at Delta, I don't want anyone to see my conversations with them. So that's one way to set it up. Or we can do the specific people. So Tracy, who's the CEO, if I'm having a conversation with her, I don't want other people to see the contents of those conversations. But for everyone else, that's totally fine. CMO, analyst, strategist. Let's make sure that we share that with the rest of the team. So that's on the privacy front. And then a quick aside, since we're already in this area, is account managers. You can have settings where account managers are automatically CC'd on email conversations. So if Tracy's emailing John 2.0 or someone else who I've hired, and I really want to be involved, Delta's a VIP client of ours, what we can do is we can set up rules to make sure that you're always involved, even when Tracy starts preferring Tom to email, I'm still involved in that relationship.